Hi guys, so we're going to give this a try very first video. Mind you, I don't have a craft room and I'm in my living room at the coffee table. So you're going to hear dogs, you're going to hear husbands, and you're going to hear kids. So I apologize because, I don't have all that fancy smancy editing equipment or whatever. So the dogs are probably going to knock into the table, which is probably going to make it. But anyways, we're going to make Bokeh, Bokeh inspired postcards. The ones that I did for the mixed media second picture that I chose. And it's really super easy. The supply list was just some distress inks, a white ink, stamps, which, are optional. You are going to need to cut out a template or have stencils. And let me tell y'all, I lost some circles on my dies, my metal dies. I just had some circle ones and lost some of the sizes, so I just cut this out of watercolor paper and then found some other circles on some other stencils that I had. And what I did was I just went ahead and used some washi tape around the ones, that way none of the white ink or anything went through any of the other holes anywhere around the circle, and so far it's been working good. So even if you don't have metal dies, if you take something that is just circle and different sizes, you make your own template out of anything. Acetate, some of that transparency film, you probably just a regular piece of paper would work. But anyways, to do this, the best one, you want smooth paper. The ink blending is easier on smooth paper. Texture kind of makes it bump and skip and does all kinds of crazy things. I'm going to use 4x6 postcards to do these, and I will be sending these out and all that. Yeah, first video. Am I supposed to talk during all this? If only the dogs would talk. So anyways, you can do 2 or 3 colors. I don't guess it really matters, whatever your heart intents, and you can use any inks that you want. I used distress inks. Oop, and I hit the camera. Sorry guys. This is so weird. And of course, we have, let's see, you can use distress oxides. And of course we have good old Catherine Pooler inks. That can be used. Any ink will work. It doesn't matter. Just keep in mind that if you're using any distress products, they are going to react with water. So you really need to think about that. You can use the regular foam pads on your ink blenders or brushes. For this, I prefer, because it's larger areas, I prefer to use the foam blenders, not the brushes, only because it's in bigger areas. So we'll just grab a couple colors, and there is nothing special about this. All you are wanting to do is just get color. You just want to get color on your piece of paper. You don't have to have a postcard. For the homework assignment, you can go ahead and cut a piece of cardstock, 4x6, and just make it. But the whole thing is just to start getting color on your paper. In different places, wherever you want it, it doesn't matter. And this is kind of going to go with the whole point of boot camp was layering. And this is going to have layers. We're going to have different layers of ink. Then we're going to do some stamping with some embossing. And really, you could go anywhere and do anything with this. Yeah, I think my husband said I only have like 30 minutes, so hopefully we'll be done within 30 minutes. And I don't have to do any outtakes. And don't worry about it being blotchy. This is just the first layer. That's all you have to worry about, is just getting some down. Oh, and I hear thunder, so let's hope that we make it through this. Anyways, I hope everybody enjoys all the videos. I am not good at this. I don't like to talk when I craft, unless I'm talking to myself or listening to the radio, but, you know. And I'm just using a block, distress inks, oxides, either one. Really, I guess probably any ink. If you stick your fingers in it, you'll end up with fingerprints all in it. So I really just use my block just to hold down what I'm using. Just for moving all this around all the time. All you're going to do is keep going with your colors. Layers after layers after layers. What is it, Shorty? It's okay, buddy. You can't fit under that table. I know you heard the thunder, but it's okay. We have a pit named Shorty, and he is petrified of thunderstorms, and I mean petrified of them. He will try to get under the table he's under, probably is 2 foot off of the ground maybe, and he thinks he's going to be able to get under there. It's actually kind of cute, but another key to this is going to be, you've got to make sure that this is dry before we go stamping and using any embossing powder. Hello. You don't have to worry if you have any, that's what I'm looking for, darker spots. It's really not going to matter, and can be covered up with the white circles that we're going to put on there too. Okay, don't remember where I was, but yep, we're just doing layers and more layers and layers and layers. And what I was saying was this needs to be dried fairly well before we get to the next step. So I hope this is not too awful loud. If it is, I apologize. Okay, so Danny taught me that his phone has a pause button, which is pretty super duper cool. So I finished drying it. Next, we are going to need our stencils. But first, let me get rid of all this ink. And this is where your white ink is going to come into play. And your stencils. Now, I have two different kinds. I have an archival ink, which is waterproof, of course, and a pigment ink. Now, you're also going to want a scrap piece of paper because, as you can see from my little finger dauber here, no matter how much you dry it, unless you leave it to sit overnight, you're going to pick up distress inks. It's just going to happen. Sam? So, and there's no rhyme or reason to this. You just take your stencils. I'm going to start off with my Versa Magic ink, only because, as you will soon see this one side of my ink pad here that's looking like whodunit and not so much white? Yeah, that's from doing this. So, we're going to start there. And all you're going to do now is go ahead and put the white. Oh, yeah, here we go, Melissa. You're doing great. Hold on to that. See how it's picking up some of the ink? That's why you'll want a piece of scrap, or if you can use whatever you used to cut your circles with. And it doesn't matter where. Uh-oh. I didn't wipe it off good enough. There I go. And you can use any colors that you want. It does not matter. Any colors your heart so desires on the base layer. Maybe I should have went with different colors. That wouldn't be so hard to cover up, maybe. But we'll see. That's where our hero art is going to come in. You'll find the best that works for you. Whether it be little finger daubers or little brushes or whatever the case may be. And of course, my smaller ones. I found so many. It was interesting trying to find what I was going to use for circles. Now, all inks do have they all have different properties. Your dye inks, I think of them kind of like when you're dyeing, I don't know, clothes, paper, ribbon, or whatever. Your dye inks will set into the paper. Your pigment inks will sit on top of the paper and not soak into it. I'm not sure what this archival is considered, but I know that Hero Arts is a pigment ink, which is usually, if my circles, like, they're starting to take on the color of the orange and the yellow, if they get to where they're really not looking like bright enough or how I want them, I will take my Hero Arts and go over what I just did. Sometimes this just isn't white enough. Guys, this is super easy, and you can have so much fun with it. You could use so many different colors. It is crazy how many different colors really you could use, and how many different which ways you could go. I'm sorry for the bouncing. I am not set up to do videos. This is the first video I've ever done, ever. Ever. I don't know how people do it on YouTube. I could never do it. I don't have enough to talk about. My life is very boring, minus the kids. We've just went through a week of band camp. Not only did the girls make it, but Mama also made it. Thank God. We live an hour away from their school, so having them down there for 8 o'clock in the morning and only being one car, I had to take Danny to work first. And he has to be to work for 5 a.m., which means we leave here at 3:45 a.m. Come back, get the girls up, get them ready. We had to, once we got them ready, then we had to get out, have them down there for 7:45 because, of course, you know, early is late in band world. So they had to be there early. Then go back and get Danny for 3 or 3:30. Come back, go and get the girls, pick them back up at 6. Yeah, it was an interesting week, to say the least. Fun. They had a ball. They had so much fun. So much fun. It was awesome. This is Jada's senior year. I don't know if you guys are friends with me, but my little girl isn't so little anymore. She's a senior this year, and she plays the drums. So she plays Big Bertha and the quads. And she's had blisters on her feet ever since Wednesday. And still kept on trucking on and trucking on. Caitlin, she's our newest band member, and she's in 8th grade this year, in her first year marching, and she did amazing. Absolutely amazing. She's also playing drums. Like, it was so much fun this year. Yeah, those are turning yellow and orange. Oh well. Right? we're gonna have to change to the Hero Arts ink pad. Because I'm just not getting bright white that I want. Well, that actually worked that time. It's okay, Shorty. It's alright, buddy. You're okay. You okay? See if this makes any difference. It may not with these colors. Now it doesn't, but that's okay. So that's that. You just put some circles on here. And again, once you're done with these, make sure that you dry it very well. For the next step, and this is all optional. You do not have to use stamps. You can, this is just, you don't have to do a focal point. You don't have to do the stamping and the embossing. This right here is all that is required for your homework. Just to take some colored inks. Go ahead and blend them together. Just stick them wherever you want to. And then put your white circles on there. And that's it. And post it. I'm pretty sure Tanya did the whole album for the homework, but okay, for the next part, for the stamps, you can use any stamps. Anything you want to put on here at all. I'm going to use a stamp set from Altenew. Probably sending you crafty hugs. And then the newest Simon Says stamp. I don't remember what month this is from, but I am going to use their big 401. And basically, all we're going to do is, I'm going to get my stamping platform. If you don't have a stamping platform, you can use stamping blocks completely 110%. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to figure out where I want to put all of it. You will need, depending on what you're using, I'm going to use some VersaFine Clear pigment ink. It stays wet long enough for the embossing, and I'm going to use the clear embossing powder from Ranger, this super fine detail, because this is little itty bitty lines. You can use anything at all. It doesn't matter. You can use any color you would like, any design, whatever. And again, it is completely optional. Now on my stamping platform, it has a side for clear and for rubber. So when I use the clear side, it doesn't always touch all the way. So I use a piece of foam, I guess is what I'm trying to say, over. we'll do the sending crafty hugs next. But ink up your stamp, and I use a stamping platform because I'm awful. I can't use a block. If it's a intricate stamp, I never get enough pressure. So I use my stamping platform to help me with that. Push, push, push. Came out very good on the first try. Go Mel. That's what I'm talking about. Bring in your embossing powder. Well, maybe I shouldn't have closed it. Oh, do you know what I didn't do, guys? Okay, so what I forgot, and of course I don't have an editing, so I can't like stop, rewind, go back, edit, do another one. No. I don't have that. So I'm going to show you guys something right quick that I forgot. A very important step. The embossing buddy. Before you go to emboss, where is he at? You need to take this and cover your whole paper because I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see. But right in here, all this extra embossing powder sticking to the still wet ink. And I don't have a brush either, so it's going to be a bit awkward. Yeah. But usually if you have like a paintbrush or something that you haven't used, I do have one, but I'm not going and getting it, so my bad for not using an embossing buddy. So don't do what I did. Use an embossing buddy on this whole entire thing if you are going to emboss, so it does not stick to your ink, because really these pigment inks and distress inks take a while. So now you know, do not do what I just did. Use your embossing buddy first. That is the second time I've done that today. Not use my embossing buddy. Nope. I bought this stamp. Put this back on here. Now we'll use the embossing buddy after the fact. as this is going to be sent out, I am going to put distress microglaze on it. This is a product for oxides, inks. It's basically to protect and seal whatever you just did. It does not take much at all. Tiny itty bitty bit. And even though the embossing powder is going to protect some, there is some that doesn't have it. So what you do is you smear some all over everything. It should make it super smooth. You should just be able to glide right over it. And this will keep any moisture, wet, anything from being in the mail, ruining it at all. And that fits right in the bottle. They were geniuses thinking right there, because your little thing just goes whoop, right in there. It doesn't get stuck or anything. Then once it's on there, just go ahead and take a paper towel